my charming companion Liao has been on console before.
I expect that's Klingon, hello.
Won't you come in, my man?
You know why they did that? You know what that is?
What?
Melted plastic and microwave bubblegum.
No, really?
Really? What in the world?
You want to close it?
I'm sure it's just a number.
Check it out.
Don't worry, my little predators are perfectly docile and those they can trust. So if they're used to your scent, if you handle their food, for example, or if they've inhaled the sweat of your palm without age. Don't you feel a little amused, however? You'd be on your own little world. Retrieve it. You asked about colors, Miss Delicate. I'm not above using spectacle to create a little terror. Actually, yeah.
Doing this incredible project, and I could not, I can't imagine a more magical experience.
This is a love letter to a place that I never knew 8 weeks ago. Now, it's part of me.
What now? Forever.
If I just let it go.
Abigail, you win. American Entertainment here at Comic-Con, everyone.
does in the community. So many questions I want to ask you, but before I even ask, this is, after all, an Asian American panel. Am I correct to suspect we have at least some doctors, lawyers, violinists, and maybe an Olympian here? I would like some good luck. Go ahead, Janet. Sorry.
So I'm a EMT paramedic, and I went to medical school. This is the first time I've actually had to say that and be ashamed of it.
I went to law school. I studied government, international relations at Harvard, and then Columbia for law school. Worked in venture capital and AI, while simultaneously writing novels for 10 years before Love of Tech got published. I studied business at USC, so I have a business degree. I also went to medical school. I completed residency in general surgery and did an internship and then a pathology residency. And then I told my mom I wanted to be an actress.
I actually went to law school, Eastside Law School, and then I later, after I was an actress, became a 3-time Emmy Award-winning television journalist.
I graduated from UCLA in 2023. Studied communication, graduated cum laude, and studying for my LSAT right now. I'm either going to go to Stanford or Columbia.
I actually was a nurse as well. One day's of my life, so.
And she also plays on TV. So yeah, this is truly an Asian American panel here. Alright, now one cool thing about this panel is that if you look at it, it spans so many amazing generations here. And I really like to ask, a lot of the questions I'm going to be asking today is more to the whole panel as opposed to just individuals, because I feel like as a collective you guys bring in so much wisdom, experience, and perspective that's unique to this panel than anything else I've seen at Comic-Con for a very long time. So, what have been some of the changes in how Asian American women have had to engage with, I would say, mainstream entertainment here in America from, say, the 80s till today? I would love for just a panel to jump into that and to start discussing what are some of the things they've seen in trends and in transitions. Anyone?
If you don't mind, because I'm the oldest here. Just perspective, it's really fascinating because when I was an actress, it was crazy times for Asian American women. And I say that not in a lighthearted way, it was actually extraordinarily challenging. Back in the 80s, we were coming off of the most amazingly racist movie, Year of the Dragon, whereby Mickey Rourke, an angry white male who was a Vietnam veteran and decided to aim his animosity for Vietnamese folks toward people in Chinatown, became a police officer. The kind of racist language that was happening during that time, and it was just a movie that people went to see. I was Miss Chinatown USA at the time, and Miss Chinatown Los Angeles, and I picketed that movie, and the reporter would ask me, and they'd say, "Tell me, why is this movie racist?" So it was very different times back then, and just in terms of perspective, characters were very one-dimensional when you auditioned for a character. If it was an Asian American woman, it was perhaps someone always who was subservient, or someone who was a victim, not a full examination of them as a victim, but a victim that was one-dimensional. There were just not a lot of opportunities. So it was maybe Chinese waitress, or Chinatown, girlfriend of a gangster. Very one-dimensional and very cookie-cutter in a sense. I remember driving around in my little car, and in my back seat I have a Hawaiian girl costume, my Chinatown costume, and that was about it. So those were different times. I got lucky though, I think, because later on, there were more opportunities later on that were
more expansive, and I feel like Star Trek was one of them. I was very gratified to be in that because she was an ambassador, and some of the scenes were cut because the film was too long, but it really developed her as an idealistic person. And that was fortunate, but I think later on, you know, we're hoping for some better views, right? We're in the 80s right now, so I'd love to hear what everybody else has to say about that.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. Anyone?
Yeah, I love that grounding because that shows how far we've come, but also there's still ways to go. And I think it's amazing what you were able to accomplish at a time where there are really so few roles. So I found when the Love of Taipei book was announced and when the deal was announced, I started hearing from so many Asian Americans in Hollywood, and they had won Academy Awards, Emmys, and Grammys, and they had only ever had one opportunity. And so they were really excited about this opportunity to finally have another role, and that was something that really struck me. There just weren't opportunities for Asian Americans. And for me, like with Love of Taipei, it had 30 different Asian American characters. And the producers asked me, what is the most important thing to preserve? And that's it. We're not a monolith, we're diversity. We're a diverse community within ourselves, and we were only seeing Asian American women and men portrayed in one way on the screen. And so I wanted to showcase that diversity in our community. And I am thankful that we got there with as many characters we had. It was the first all Asian American young adult movie. And I'm so thrilled and so thankful for all of you guys who supported the film and helped make that possible.
So I wish things were immensely different, but I recently just auditioned for a cleaning lady and a masseuse, which had no lines, so I didn't really know how to do the self-tape. But I do feel like my situation is a little bit different. I tried to work in the States, and then I went to Taiwan, where I then worked for 20 years, and then only recently came back to the States to start working again here. And it has been quite a challenge. You know, I thought with all these progressive things that are happening and all these movies and TV shows that are coming out, that there would be a significant change. But literally, you know, the auditions that I've been able to get are cleaning lady, masseuse, you know, one-liners.
And you play the president in Taiwan.
Yes. Yeah, the ironic thing is, Abigail was saying that the day that I got the audition for the cleaning lady, I had just been called in Taiwan, and they were asking me if I wanted to play the president of Taiwan for a TV drama. So I was kind of like, oh, president of Taiwan, cleaning lady. But that being said, I do feel like, you know, even though I am starting from zero again here, I do feel like the roles are way more interesting in that there's so many more. You know, it's like you have love, you know, you have love people that are in love that are just Asian. It's not an Asian story. It's just, okay, she happens to be Asian, he happens to be Asian. And also there's more creators, you know, like Abigail and many others who are starting to write their own stories, not necessarily purely Asian based. They're just creators. So I feel like that's also changing everything. And you know, you have to start from the top down as well as the bottom up. Like this has to come in from all directions. So you know, I feel like there is opportunity out there.
Jackie, anything?
I did want to just say, I feel like we need to be encouraged to take up space because there's a lot of stuff being made, which is great, but there's a little bit of this pressure, I think, in our own communities that everything that is produced has to be perfect and great, and it almost holds us back from creating more. But the truth is, how many bad films and do other people get a chance to have? And I wish that there was just more space for that to just, like sometimes there's two shows and it's like only one's gonna get renewed because there's only one space, and that type of thinking I really hope goes away, but we're getting more opportunities, and I think if we can just continue to create and be like, that's not a boundary anymore, like that's not a ceiling anymore, because other people, other communities get chances, second chances. So there's always a second chance.
Yeah. I know I haven't been doing this as long as some of the other ladies have, but I would say even just in my 10-year career, starting out, I went out for the masseuse roles, I went out for the nail technicians. I actually remember one audition where I said my lines, and they're like, that's great, can you do it again with an accent this time? I was like, oh yeah, I'll try an accent. Yeah. I'm Korean, and so my accent sounds very different from a Vietnamese, or, you know, it's not a tonal language, so I did my Korean accent. And then she's like, that was would be Chinese waitress, not just waitress. And now I'm starting to notice more castings that are a lot more broad, and it used to have, let's say the other way, Caucasian. Now it's all ethnicities encouraged to apply. And so that little tiny bit of, language, I think makes a huge difference, because especially for agency managers who would not otherwise think you would be someone that casting would consider, is now saying, oh, why not? Let's throw her in the mix and see what happens, And I feel I've been very fortunate that I have not had to do a role that was Asian specific. All of my roles have been cast, could have been anyone. And then they just tweak my last name sometimes, which is funny because my last name's Dallas.
Just to sort of go on what Jackie said, growing up, one of the biggest challenges for me was not really seeing a lot of, especially as a Filipino American, not seeing a lot of roles and even just stories that were told in relation to Filipino Americans were, reduced to different tropes that were very familiar, but also, just a little bit superficial. So, yeah, just touching on what Jackie said, I love that there was a lot more interesting characters and roles being created that really humanize and celebrate different cultures within the I community. I've only recently started getting auditions that feature Filipino Americans, so it just brings so much pride to me when I receive those castings. So.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm the youngest person on this panel. So I started acting when I was about 10, so it's been about 12 years that I've been doing this, and there's been a really big shift that I've seen happen in those 10 years. I remember the roles that I used to go out for, everyone talked about were not specific to Asian American women, let alone Asian American girls. And the last two projects that I did were these two kind of different scenarios where Everlong in Taipei, she is specifically Taiwanese, and as someone who's Taiwanese, I never thought that I would get an audition in my inbox that said they're looking for someone who is Taiwanese, like the heart of my heart, the people of my people. And then with the Hunger Games, Clemencia was not supposed to necessarily be Asian. And so I'm really grateful that, we're taking up room in this industry, not just because we're Asian, but because we're also good. And we're also, filling this representation that we need to fill. I think we have a lot of work to do. I talk with my Black and my Native friends who also sit here with the same struggle of needing to tell stories where we are not monoliths, but we are deep, and we have backgrounds, and I'm really excited to see where the future goes, and to know that these are the women that will be alongside me and on all your screens. It really fills my heart a lot. Thank you so much for paving the way that I would not be here if not for women like Cynthia and women like Jackie and Abigail who have been doing this for so long. And I think that, as the next generation, we have to acknowledge that women like Anna May Wong and Michelle Liao are the reason why we are here. And they will not be the last women to be winning these Academy Awards.
Okay, so what I've heard here is just some of the different challenges, at least not quick examples, but just some hearsays of what the general experiences were like. So what I always love to do is ask, can you give me one of your most significant, memorable experiences you had during your stint in entertainment? Something where you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe I had to deal with that, or wow, okay, that was unexpected. One of your most memorable experiences in your journey so far. Because that gives me a window of what your journey has been like. So let's go down with your hand.
Oh God. So we're talking about like a bad scenario where you're just like, oh wow.
Can be bad or good, up to you, totally.
Okay. I mean, this is just entertainment in general, right?
this was when I was in Taiwan, and I wasn't planning on doing anything entertainment related. You know, I wanted to be a doctor. And I had the opportunity to meet with some, I didn't know who he was, but I guess he was a big shot producer, director. And then he said, okay, do you want to be famous? Do you want to do this? I was like, yeah, sure, yeah, this is great. He's like, okay, you want to do the fast way or the slow way? And I was like, obviously the fast way, you know? My thinking was like, hey, you just work hard, you do whatever you want. And, you know, there's faster routes and then there's slower routes. But in my mind, it was
a moment where I was like, wow, we really don't have a lot of films, do we? We should make more. And then I started getting a few roles here and there. And everyone would be like, oh, you want to be the next Lucy Liu? I would like to be the first Jackie Alice. But it just made me realize that we don't have as many iconic A-list celebrity Asian female role models as we should. We should make more. And then it was, I started going to events and having my own little invites to red carpets and stuff. And then I would have people come up to me and be like, I loved you in Crazy Rich Asians. I was not in Crazy Rich Asians. So, I don't really know what my point is, but I guess my revelation here is that we just need to have more representation. We need to have more faces, and we need to have more recognition of all of our faces, because we're more than just, the one or two people in the one or two movies out there. And that's
Yeah, there are so many memorable moments for me, and I think the biggest is the community that's come around. Like being an author is you and the page, a blank page, and just lots of words, and then eventually you have your agent, your editor, and then when you make a movie, literally 300 people are involved in this process, and that itself is a miracle. And then I think getting to connect with all of you, people who watched the movie, read the book, tweeted about it, wrote reviews, shared with your friends, like being in community is such a big Asian value, and I think being a part of an Asian project that had a community, has a community like you guys around it, is really like nothing else, and I feel like it really is unique to us being Asian Americans. So I'm so grateful. Thank all of you for being part of that.
I love that most of us don't have terrible stories to share.
I have some.
You want to share that too?
No, not okay.
There's been so many highlights. I've been a singer much longer than I've been an actress. So a lot of my biggest highlights involve moments that have happened in my music career, such as getting to perform on stage with Beyonce and sing Steven Tyler Happy Birthday with Stevie Wonder. But one of the most meaningful experiences for me was, before I found out that I was going to be touring the Philippines, I was added on to the tour. And my mom was just talking to her cousin, and they hadn't seen each other for 15 years at that point. And so I broke the news to her, and she was just so ecstatic about the opportunity to just be able to fly out with me. I was minor at the time, so my mom had to accompany me. So it was just a wonderful opportunity to get my mom back out there in the Philippines. And it was so sweet because the mayor of my mother's province of Pampanga reached out and invited probably 100 members of my family that were still out in the Philippines. So it's such a cherished memory in my heart, seeing my mom tearing up and surrounded by all these loved ones that she hadn't seen in so long. So it was just a very special moment for me, getting my family involved in all of my own experiences and getting to travel with them. So that just meant so much.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Thia.
Yes, really quickly, it started off bad, but it ended really, really well. to meet a famous director in Hong Kong. And I didn't know the name. They said it in Chinese, but it was like Director Chen. So I was like, okay, I'll come meet this guy. And then, you know, it was a big, long process. Got into what turned out to be a karaoke bar filled with women. Like, it was just all girls who were there to meet Director Chen. And I was kind of like, oh, this is not what I was expecting. But anyways, it, you know, kind of happened. And then finally, Director Chen walked in, and everybody just like bombarded him. It was just like this crowd of people around him. And I just kind of sat by the end, like, okay, what am I doing here? And then he slowly walked over, and then the crowd kind of like dispersed. And I was like, oh, he walked over. I was like, you're Jackie Chan. Because it was Chen Long. I had no idea who I was meeting. And I was like, oh my God, you're Jackie Chan. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then we just started talking about random things. And then at the very end of it, I was like, so when am I going to meet this Director Chen guy? He's like, that's me. Oh, sorry. So anyways, that was just a random story that I thought of.
We have our own Jackie here. All right, any other stories for anyone else? No. All right, so I do have a question here that I think is important and near to my heart. What can we do as a community to help keep pushing forward your progress, the evolution, and breaking down the barriers and walls that you guys have done since the 90s, 80s, 90s, and continuing here to 2000s? What can the community do through actions and words? I want to hear this from you guys.
Yeah, I mean, you as the audience. Sorry.
No, jump in.
Yeah, you as the audience hold so much power in that just actively supporting more Asian American roles can really influence the industry on what they produce. So just being more engaged in social media and discussions and advocating more representation would be so powerful enough to make a huge change, I feel. So.
I think one of the most wonderful things that we can do for our community is be there for each other. That's something that I learned very well at UCLA's encampment a couple of weeks ago, is that community is everything. And that we have to keep each other safe, and that we have to be there for each other. I think within ourselves, one of the best things that we can do as people that are Asian American is be proud of ourselves. And I grew up in a very white suburb, and so I remember that it wasn't easy, and it still isn't easy to be in your own skin sometimes, and that's okay. But to just be confident in yourself and know that everything that you need in your stories, in your community, in your ancestors, in your family are there, and we're here for you too, to hopefully, you know, give some small ounce of this big pie of all our communities that we are. And so, you know, thank you for giving us this platform to be able to do that, and for trusting us with that. It's a scary thing sometimes to have this much privilege, but I'm really thankful for it, and thank you for supporting all of our projects.
So I'll give some specifics, because I find that every time you're doing something for the first time, you often it comes out differently than what people expect. And there's a lot of things in the system that don't work the way we work. So for example, Taipei hit the New York Times bestseller list, but we did a lot of work to make sure we got the message out to the community for how they could support the book. It was a very large book deal for HarperCollins. It was one of the largest at the time, and so we knew that they would put the marketing dollars behind it. But what our community didn't know is that buying books on Amazon count half towards the New York Times bestseller list compared to independent bookstores and Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble, I think, is like 1.6, and independent bookstores is double. And that structure was put in place to preserve independent bookstores, but Asian Americans didn't even know what that was. I told my parents, they said, what's an independent bookstore? So many of us are new immigrants, a lot of us are tech savvy, and so that was just like the natural place to do things. It's also more cost effective. But independent bookstores, that was the first. And then things like rating on Amazon, IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, and there's just so many DMs that come in that never make it to these public ratings. So public ratings actually really matter. So go out now and rate Love in Taipei. And by the way, 3 of us, so Ashley, Chelsea, and Brandon are all in the film Love in Taipei, and it came out on Paramount last year, and now it's out on Amazon Prime and Apple TV, and it's coming to Amazon on August 9th. So it's doing well enough that it continues to move on to these other platforms, which is really thrilling, and we love your support in just getting word out and letting everyone know to watch it, because Netflix makes a lot of decisions based on their algorithms, which are driven by the numbers of viewership. So, yes, absolutely. Did I say something? Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's coming on Amazon.
Netflix.
Thank you. It is out on Amazon already, and it's coming on Netflix. So thank you, Netflix. So please tell your friends to watch it, and rate and support, and vote with your dollars. So pre-orders. We're trying to get this one out now. It's got 10 Asian American characters. I have an interested director who's Asian American, who I think is the perfect person. But because all of us are still up and coming, the stronger the book is, the more I have a voice at that table where I can say this guy is the right guy for the job.
I want to say 100% what everyone else already said up here, supporting our work, giving opportunities, giving voices. I think another thing that we as Asians in general need to break out of is the mentality that there isn't enough roles or positions. You know, there's this kind of thought process that, oh, I want to be on the show, but there's already one Asian. Why can't there be 2? You know? And I think that not just applies for shows for actors, but also like in the room, right? In the writer's room, in the producing room, like all amongst directors, like why can there only be just one? So I urge everyone to, you know, no matter what industry that you're in, don't think that you've hit your quota box and that's that. There shouldn't even be a quota box, right? We should just belong where we deserve to belong. And I think if we change our mindset, I shouldn't apply for this, I shouldn't try for this because I won't get it because one of us already exists there. That will just help us push the boundaries of what's possible for ourselves. And then as our allies, don't think, oh, well, we already have one like her, you know? I think, let's just open up that, you know, let's not put a number on it, let's not cap it. I think that's kind of a mental thing that we all could work our way out of.
My note was very similar to that, but on that note, if you have an idea, just go create it. Just go and start producing it because, yeah, like I'm really excited for DD that's coming out, and I just was like, I didn't even know this was happening, but somebody was like, I'm gonna make a movie, and I just want to encourage all the artists out here, like if you have an idea to do a podcast, if you want to start a YouTube channel, like whatever you want to create, go and try it, and make friends and surround yourself with people that are going to encourage you with that. Not the people that tell you there's not enough people, like you don't need those voices anymore. I'm in that boat too. I'm like, I always need encouraging friends. And so I feel like if we just keep creating, it'll at least just give us more space to spread the word and stuff. So I know where you're going. I'll think of it.
I have to add to that too is don't be afraid. You know, to be honest, you know, you can be afraid, but don't let that stop you. So, you know, after having my career in Asia, coming back here was a bit intimidating. You know, I'm 44 now, and it's not the same as when you're 20. And I'm starting from zero, but there's something exciting about it as well. You know, when you're starting over, when you're starting fresh, and you're making mistakes, it's refreshing. You feel like you're trying again. You're doing new things. You're challenging yourself, and you see other parts and sides of yourself that you maybe haven't seen for a while because you're kind of in the same rut or in the same situation constantly. So I would say, yeah, following along with all these things. If you are a lawyer or doctor or everything that we are up here, it doesn't matter. It's what you have that you want to create, and and it doesn't matter if it's Asian specific, right? We're just creating interesting characters, and that's what we are. That's what we are as humans. So you're writing characters and people, and you're creating things for humans. So yeah, don't be afraid. I don't think age is an issue. I don't think your understanding or previous background is ever an issue. If you're passionate and you're excited about something, that means so much.
I remember what I was going to say really quick, because we just had this conversation. But even the fact that Love in Taipei was made had so many other hands in it, including executives at Paramount and executives that were Asian American. And so I was like encouraging anyone who's already in a field, there's probably a way you can like use your position to really help spread the community, just to benefit the community, because we genuinely wouldn't have sold the movie, made the movie, unless there was people talking in the background, putting their trust in it. So, yeah, I'm like, that wouldn't have been possible years ago. But there's executives at that level, so that's also a hopeful thing of like, once you start creating, you're gonna see there's people out there that are gonna support you, and there's people out there. They're just you to meet people and meet the community. So there's hope though.
Love that. Anyone else? Anyone else? No? Alright, I have about 5 minutes here. Oh, did you hear anything?
No, I was gonna joke.
Alright, we have 5 minutes here. Right down the line. Share with us maybe in like a minute or two your newest project that you're working on.
I'm president of Taiwan. I don't know what's going to come out, but it is a series called 0 Day, and it is a political drama. I am playing the president of Taiwan, which is pretty badass. I got to shadow the actual vice president, which was incredible. I told her what I was doing, and she's like, "Oh, this is a great project, blah blah blah." She said, "Do you want to ride in my motorcade?" I was like, "Yes." So I have that, but in the States, I am going to be auditioning for the cleaning lady role, and I will one day eventually become a masseuse. You'll watch out for me, okay?
So my new novel is my first novel outside the Lego Taipei universe. There's 3 books for Lego Taipei. This one, there's 1.5 and a possible sequel coming, but it's a Silicon Valley thriller / romantic comedy about Tan Lee and Winter Root. They live in Palo Alto. She and her widowed mother rent out the house, or rent out the back rooms of his home. They went to prom, they had this magical kiss, but then they realized it was dark, and he's my landlord. They had to stay away from each other. But then their parents leave them to go off to Hawaii together, not realizing they're actually interested in each other, and they have to babysit his younger sister together. So that kind of puts them in a bind. And then to make matters worse, his ex-girlfriend from Shanghai shows up on his doorstep with hundreds of millions of dollars of cryptocurrencies stolen from her billionaire father in Shanghai, and a bunch of international thugs on her heels. So that sets on this like thriller around Silicon Valley. I had so much fun writing the book, and it comes out August 13th. So I will be on book tour through California. Macmillan, my publisher, has been fabulous, and they actually are going to they're giving away 10, I think I have 8 left of these bound manuscripts, so they have mistakes in them, but I'm giving them away here. And we're also running a pre-order special just for San Diego Comic-Con. If you pre-order the book on Barnes & Noble or your independent bookstore, come show me the receipt and we'll give you a free Lego Taipei book.
Awesome.
We'll sign it too.
Cynthia?
Well, I think most importantly, please go watch Love in Taipei, especially when it drops on Netflix. Like, I'm super excited for it to reach a bigger audience. Otherwise, I've been doing like short films with my friends, but one of my friends is Justin Chen from Brother's Son. So just like doing cool projects with my friends. So I'll probably post about it on my socials when it's all clear.
Okay. 1 minute each.
One minute left.
1 minute.
Well, I can't talk about my project, so I'm going to be quick. I have a new show coming out at Stars. We just wrapped on it. NDA, stay tuned.
Next week, I'm going to be at the Star Trek convention. It's going to be exciting for me. Bill Shatner and I are going to hang out again. And I've been doing a lot of public speaking about inspirational stories. I think I have a background whereby I've gone through a lot, and I've learned a lot about myself, and it's been wonderful to share. During COVID, I decided to become the oldest person on TikTok. and it's worked out well. I've had almost more than 500,000 followers now on social media, talking about beauty, health, and fashion, and also a little bit of wisdom as well. So that's my current project.
Yeah, I've been auditioning a lot. I've been studying for my LSAT and NDA, practicing my British accent. But yeah, that's about it.
That's awesome. And Thia.
So I currently have an EP in the works, and I just came across an old compilation of songs that I had actually worked on with my big brother, and so that's a little project of mine. I also just for fun, I decided to start dabbling in screenplay. I was really inspired to really start a story based on growing up in the Bay Area. You know, my cousins and I don't know if that's going to go anywhere, but it's definitely been a wonderful passion project for me. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. We're right outside here. All right?
Last chance for a picture, guys, because we need to get everything ready for the next panel, please.